Hello, everyone. In this session, we want to look at Active Directory groups. Active Directory groups are created in Active Directory users and computers, or you may use the Active Directory Administrative Center. We want to look at group types, group scope, management, and the default groups that are created when you install Active Directory domain services. In Users and Computers, to create a group, you click on Users if you're creating the group in the Users container, or if you're creating the group in another container, or in the domain itself, Contoso, you simply right-click, say New, and click on Group. The New Group Object dialog box shows you the scope of the groups and the group type. And you select the type of scope you want and the type of group that you want. We have domain local scope, we have global scope, we have universal scope. The group types are two types: security and distribution. Let's look at the distribution group. The distribution group only deals with email applications. For example, if you want to send email to a number of users, you would create a distribution group and you will place those users in the group. A distribution group has no security ID and it cannot be given permissions on objects in Active Directory. It is only used for emails. And then another type of group is a security group. With the security group, you will have an ID for that group. And that group can be given permission on any object. For example, a printer. You can give that group permission to access a printer. You can give the group permission to access a file or a folder. But the distribution group, you can't give that permission. That's again only for email. The security group may be used as an email group as well. Let's look at this scenario as it relates to group scope and group type. You have three domains: domain A, domain B, and domain C. Let's say in domain A, we had a folder, and the folder is called sales data. This folder has all the sales information, not only for domain A, but it has information that salespeople in domain B would like to access and salespeople in domain C would like to access. Microsoft has a recommended method of accessing data. Let's take a look at the domain local group. Within domain A, we create a domain local group. And let's call that group sales resource. Now, the reason why we create the domain local group in domain A is because the resource itself resides in domain A. Wherever your resource resides, that's where you want to create your domain local group. The domain local group is the group that you are going to give permission to access that data. So you create the group, you call it sales resource, and then you go to your sales data folder and you give the sales resource domain local group permission to access that data. Now, how would the users in domain B and domain C get access to that data? Well, over in domain B, what you need to do is to create a group. But this time, you're going to create a global security group. And in this group, you're going to place your users. In domain C, you can also create a global security group and place those sales users in that group. In order for any of these two groups, the groups in B and C, to access that data which resides in domain A, what you will have to do is to add the global groups to the sales resource group. Now let's go over that again. The group that has access to the resource is a domain local group. In order for the sales group B and the sales group C, which are both global groups, in order for them to get access to that data, you have to add those groups to the sales resource groups. Because remember, we gave that sales resource group access to the sales data folder. In domain B, the users that you put in that sales group B must be from domain B. In domain C, the users that you put in the sales group C must be from domain C. And they both are called global groups. Now we can also have a universal group. A universal group can be in any domain. You can create that in any domain. A universal group can contain global groups. So you can create a universal group and you can put the sales group B global group and the sales group C global group within that universal group. But then you must take the universal group and add that universal group to the sales resource group. Because again, the sales resource group is a group that has been given access to the sales data. Let us look at a practical example of that. We are going to begin by creating a domain local group. The domain local group is the group that will have access to the resources. The domain local group must be created in the domain in which the resource exists. We're going to go ahead and click on Tools, Active Directory Users and Computers. Then we want to right-click on Users, click on New Group, and we want to select Domain Local. And over on the right-hand side, we see that the default is security, so we're actually creating a Domain Local security group. And we're going to call that group Sales Resource. So we're going to click inside the group name box and we're going to type Sales space Resource and we're going to press Enter. We want to click on OK to exit that box. Now, we want to give that domain local group access to the sales data folder. We have a folder on the C drive that is a sales data folder that users need to access. Users within domain A, users within domain B, and users within domain C. So we're going to go to File Explorer and we're going to click on Local Disk C. And there we can see the sales data folder. We want to right click on that sales data folder. And we want to click on Properties. Want to click on the Sharing tab. Then we want to click on Advanced Sharing. We want to select the checkbox to the left of Share This folder. And we're going to leave the folder with the default name, Sales Data. And we want to click on Permissions because we want to set permissions on that folder. Now, by default, the Everyone group in Active Directory has read access to any item. So we only want that group that we just created, the domain local group, to have access to this folder. So normally what you might do is to add the group that you want and remove the Everyone group. To remove a group, you just click on the group and you click on remove. For this lab, for our purposes, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add that group, the sales resource group, because we need that group to have access to this folder. So we're going to click on add. And if you know the name of, if you can remember the name of your group, you can simply type it in this box. We're going to go through the Advanced tab here to find it. So I'm going to click on Advanced. I'm going to click on Find Now. And as you can see, all of the groups and the users are listed here. And I'm going to scroll down to find the group that I want. So I'm going to click on the scroll button here once. And there is my group, Sales Resource. So I am going to click on Sales Resource and then click OK. What I could do is I could sometimes check the name here to see if it's the right name. But now we're just going to go ahead and click on OK. And we now want to give that permission. Remember, by default, this group would already have read permission because the group is a part of the Everyone group. So we're going to click on change because we don't want to give that group full control. We simply want to give them change permission. And in the next session, we're going to be looking at shares and different types of permissions. And the permission here you see is under the allow column. If you wanted to deny the user access, you can click under the deny column. So we have given that group change permission on that folder. I'm going to click on apply and then I'm going to click on OK. And I now want to close the sales data property box. So I'm click on OK and close. Now what I want to do is to add the global group sales group B. We have a global group in domain B. And that global group is called Sales Group B. Remember, in the other domains, what you have to do is to take your users and put them in a group. That group should be a global security group. So when you're creating the group for the users, you must choose the global security group. So we already have the global security group here. You can see it here, Sales Group B. And what we want to do is to right click on this group. And we want to say add to group, because we have to add them to that domain local group so that they can have access to that sales data folder. So we're going to click add to group, and we have to type the name of the group. And the name of the group was Sales Resource. So we type Sales Resource and press enter. And what we could do here at this time, we're actually going to check the name. So I'm going to click on check names just to make sure that it's right. Yes, it is. And then you're going to click on OK. There's a prompt that's telling you that the add to group operation was successfully completed. So now we have added those people in domain B to the sales resource domain local group in domain A. Those people will now have change access to the sales data folder. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK here. What I want to do now is to actually view the membership of that sales B group to see if that group is a part of the sales resource group. If we indeed were successful in putting that group or adding that group to the sales resource group. So what I need to do here is to right click on the sales resource group. So I'm going to right click on the sales resource group, and I am going to click on properties. I'm going to click on the members tab, and I can see here that that sales group B is a member of the sales resource group. So now that I have seen that we were successful, I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. Okay, let's go over some basics about groups and how the groups are placed for access to resources. Users in a domain are placed in a global security group. That global group can only contain members from the specific domain in which the global group is created. So, for example, let's take domain B. Domain B needs access to a printer, but that printer is in domain A. What you would have to do is to create a global security group in domain B, take those sales users and place them or add them to that global security group. And then you want to take the global security group and add that global security group to the domain local group in domain A. The domain local group must be created in the domain in which the resource is located. So if the printer is located in domain A, that's where you will create that domain local group. Remember that you have to give that domain local group access to the printer. Now, universal groups can be created in any domain, and they can contain members from any domain. So whilst the global group can only have members from the domain in which the global group is created, you can take the universal group, create it in any domain, and you can then take the global groups and add them to the universal group. And then for the universal group to have access to the resource, you then have to place the universal group within the domain group. That is the end of this session. Thank you for listening.